Hey there, it's me Nate, and today I want to show you guys all of the books I picked up during the month of May. I think I counted, I think it was about 20? No, that can't be right, Anyway, I don't know how many it is. It's a good amount though. So let's just get into it. So starting off, after I finished Grave Peril by Jim Butcher, I went ahead and picked up the next book, which is Summer Night. This is book number 4 of the Dresden Files. That's what I'm currently reading right now, if you notice my bookmark. So yeah, I got book number 4 of Dresden, and then it was cheap, so I went ahead and picked up Death Mask by Jim Butcher, which is the 5th Dresden book. And so, continue on with more Jim Butcher stuff. I saw that they had the hardback edition of Stormfront, which is book number 1 of Dresden Files. So I went ahead and got that. Because honestly, most of the time I prefer to have hardbacks, especially for the books I like. I just think they're nice. I think they're easier to read. Me personally, I like the way they feel to hold in my hands a lot better too. So I'm really happy to have gotten this, especially because I think as far as like paperbacks and like mass market paperbacks go, like the Dresden File ones I think are pretty decent. The covers feel like they get beat up really fast. But, you know, could be worse, I guess. It's just, as far as I understand, the early Dresden Files books, it's really hard to get a lot of them in hardcover. They're very, like, low print and very expensive if you get them secondhand, like hundreds of dollars. So, if I ever, you know, hopefully, maybe one day, they'll do more printings of the other hardbacks for the earlier books. 'Cause I think that the first like 6 or 7 are pretty like out of print or pretty low print as far as the hardbacks go. So that's a shame. And then we have one last Jim Butcher book, and this is Furies of Calderon by Jim Butcher. This is the first book of his Codex Alera series, and I don't really know a whole lot about it. But basically I've heard it explained as like Roman inspired fantasy with like Pokemon elements. That's how I've heard it explained, like in videos and stuff, and it sounds interesting. I really enjoy Jim Butcher as a writer, but this is like more of like an epic fantasy series from him, which I think is really cool because something different from Dresden, you know, of urban. And this is a pretty chunky book. I think this edition's like 600 pages. Yeah, it's like 600, nearly 700 pages. So it'll probably be a long time before I get to this. But you know, went ahead and got that. So during May, I read and put up a review of Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. So I got the next book, Thrawn Alliances. As you can see from the cover, this is alongside Thrawn, who, you know, has now fully, you know, become Grand Admiral by the end of Thrawn. He is now kind of like collaborating with Vader, and it's kind of like a story where you go back and forth from like Thrawn's perspective to Vader's perspective, and so on. I don't want to give away more of the plot than that, but yeah. Then, all right. So next up, we got some Witcher. So I picked up a hardback of The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the first Witcher book. So this is like an illustrated edition by Orbit, and so they have, let's see if you can see that. On the end boards, they got like these like portraits of some of the characters, and some of like the monsters and stuff like that. So that's really cool. And so I haven't really looked through to see any of the illustrations on the inside, you know, so maybe one day if I ever, you know, get around to like rereading the series, I'll do that. So yeah, and I really like this cover. These Orbit editions of the Witcher books are really great. So yeah, I got The Last Wish in hardback. And then, even though I don't like this book, I went ahead and got the Sword of Destiny hardback, also the Orbit edition. So I got those, and then now that I finished Baptism Fire, I went ahead and picked the next book, The Tower of Swallows. This is the 6th Witcher book? Yeah, 6. So yeah, once I've read this one and The Lady of the Lake after it, I'll be finished with like the main Witcher story, and then after that there's just a couple of like prequels. So yeah, I definitely want to try to get through the Witcher books this year. So I think that'll probably definitely happen. Oh, there's a couple left. So I picked up a hardback edition of Ender's Game. I really like Ender's Game. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I think it's a masterpiece book. I think it's like a seminal work. And so I wanted to get in a hardback instead of just like my my mass market paperback that I had. And you know, you look at it in hardback, and Ender's Game, you know, it reads very quickly already, and it's not that long. So like in hardback, if you know, it's going to be even shorter if I reread it. And I probably won't talk about it whenever I do my my June TBR video. So I'll go ahead and say here, I'm not going to be continuing with any of the other Ender's Game books or spin-offs, because during the month of May, I tried reading Ender's Shadow, and I really didn't like it. Sorry, there's like a gnat that just came up in here. I really didn't like it. It kind of felt like a fan fiction retcon of Ender's Game, and I really didn't care for it. It was well written, but I didn't like the direction that it was going in. And then I also tried, what is it called? Earth Unaware, which is the first book in Orson Scott Card's Formic War trilogy that he writes with... He co-writes it with another author whose name I can't think of. But anyway, I tried that, and it just... I don't know. It didn't really... That book almost felt like Speaker of the Dead-ish in a way, the way like people talk to each other, which is really weird, because Speaker of the Dead takes place like 2,000 years after Ender's Game, and then Earth Unaware takes place like 100+ years before Ender's Game, and I felt like the people in Earth Unaware talked like the people in Speaker of the Dead, and there's like a difference of like thousands of 2,000 years. So it's just like the way the dialogue and stuff like that, and I don't know. It's just like I really think when it comes to Ender's Game, he wrote one masterpiece, and then all the rest of it you should just skip it and move on. I'm definitely gonna read more Orson Scott Card books in the future. He has like a lot of other series and stuff that sounds really interesting, so I'm definitely down to try more of his stuff. And then last up, okay, so a couple months ago, there was a storm, a really bad thunderstorm, and I had left my window open, and I had some books close to the window, and one of them that got messed up was my copy of Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks, and I haven't read the book yet, but I was like, man, it was like, pretty water damage. I did get it dried out, but it was a mass market paperback, so I didn't feel too bad about it. But I was like, I'd really rather have another copy for when I do get around to reading it. So I was like, if I'm buying another copy, I should try to get a hardback. Sword of Shannara hardbacks are out of print, as far as I know, and very expensive secondhand, because I looked on eBay and stuff. But what they do have in hardback is the Sword of Shannara trilogy. So this is the first 3 Shannara books in an omnibus, and it's pretty hefty. I think this is like 1,200 pages for all 3 books. So yeah, but I really like this cover. I think it's sick, like this orange and the sword. I think, and then just like the font they use. So I think it looks really nice. So I'm glad I got this. I got a good deal on it. I think I got this for like 17 bucks. So yeah, those are all of the books I read, or not, sorry, not the books I read. I got mixed up with the other video. Those are all the books I bought in the month of May. So yeah, I think I got some good pickups. A couple of like, replacements, editions. Because I got the Last Wish and Sword of Destiny. So I'm going to get rid of my paperback copies and got those new hardbacks. And same thing with Stormfront. And I picked up the next couple of Dresden books and the next Thrawn book. So I try not to splurge too much. And I usually buy a lot of my books either on Amazon or eBay. eBay, you can get really amazing, great deals from sellers. Excuse me. You get some really great deals from them. And then Amazon, if you end up not liking it, you can return it, really easily. So between those, I'm able to like save a lot of money on buying books. But that's just, that's how it is for me. I don't have there are bookstores here in my town, and I would shop there, but they're all like on the other side of town, and usually with my work hours, because I work overnights, I'm not awake during the day. So it's all really inconvenient for me to try to like go to a bookstore. So between Amazon and eBay, I get, all of my stuff delivered, basically. So that's how it works for me. But yeah. So what books did you pick up in the month of May? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you can, or if you will, like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to grow the channel some more, talk to you guys. So yeah, until next time, have a good day.